What is up, you guys? Glitches here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very special video for you guys, and that is my ultimate PvP base build. A lot of you found my channel through my older videos going over the PvE base build. It became really popular, world renowned at this point. We started seeing the glitches base all over the place, but a lot of you PvP players out there commented many times saying that this base would be terrible for PvP, and I 100% agree with you. The entire design was only one wall thick. You could just break in within a matter of seconds, steal everything that you owned, and the enemy would just get out scot-free. So I had to revamp the base design and make it a little more strategic for PvP scenarios. And I think what I've come up with is pretty nifty, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. So there's a lot of strategy that went involved with this particular design. It is at the best probably 7 walls thick to get to the inner chambers of it, and that is with a special technique which I'll go over in the second part of this video series. By the way, I am going to be breaking this up into 2-parters. This is going to be just a quick little base tour showing off the final design, and then tomorrow I will be releasing a video going over a step-by-step tutorial on how to build this from scratch so you guys can use the design as well. But just to show it off, I can actually talk about some of the features about it without actually spending 20 minutes building it. So the first big thing, obviously, that I wanted to kind of keep in line with the design from the original PvE base is it is a hexagon-shaped base. And with that hexagon shape, we can do a lot of cool things, like add the star outcroppings around the outside still. So these will ideally have your turrets on them, so you'll be covered in all 360 degrees. One thing I would recommend if you want to have even more defenses is try and place the base up against a wall or a cliff of a mountain, things like that. And if that's what you end up doing and you're protected from one side, you could ultimately move some of these back star outcroppings and push them forward a little bit so you can funnel all of your guns facing in a proper direction and get more use out of them. So that is one thing you can potentially do to get more firepower on the front side of the base. So that is the outer first line of defense, is the outcroppings with your turrets. Now the other thing that you'll notice is it's not a perfect, like, just straight up hexagon like this. There's some very interesting little gaps all over the place, and that is because I did some research and found some really useful techniques with the building of the base that allows you to double, triple, quadruple stack your walls to make them still in line with each other perfectly on all sides, but allow you to build walls back to back. And on top of that, this outer ring here is not only used as inner hallways for the bottom and top floors, but it triples as both a honeycomb to add more lines of defense that enemies will have to blast through, as well as a secondary perimeter wall for the inner walls for the gap. So we got the outer wall, so that's the first wall. 2, 3, if you, depending on the angle you're shooting, that they might have to blast through for the honeycomb walls, and that goes all the way around. 4, if you count this next series of walls. Then with the strategic gap that we placed, we have 5. So this would be the 5th wall that an enemy has to go through. Then we have this ring that goes all the way around. That is potentially another honeycomb. Not potentially, it is. So that's another 2, 3 potential honeycomb walls they have to go through. So that's 5, 6, 7 walls. And then you have another inner wall for the inner core, which would be the 7th wall. So it doesn't seem like much on the outside, but because of how we've strategically set it up, if you were just straight up trying to blast your way in, you've got 7 walls deep of 3,200 health walls that you're going to have to blast through before you can get to the inner core. So that is the strategy for the honeycombing process, just for the people that want to try and blast their way through with rockets and C4 and things like that. Now, for the people that don't have C4 and are trying to just get in normally, we have a sort of maze function that I did to the base. Now, I have experience with games like V Rising, where you have to build very honeycomby defensive style bases to kind of stall the enemy as long as possible. I kind of took those same strategies from that game and brought them over to the Glitches PvP base design. So when you go in a door in this particular base, you're not going to see another door that leads you straight to the middle. You're going to go through one, and it's going to force you to snake all the way around to the other side, go through another door, snake all the way around to the other side, go through another door, snake all the way around to the other side. So there's going to be 3 floors basically of you just weaving all the way back and forth across the entire base, with every step of the way stalling you, stalling you, stalling you, stalling you. And we're going to show that off now. Now, for the sake of the demonstration, I will mention ahead of time that there's a lot of doorways that serve a particular purpose as well in this base design. Just for the sake of time and my own traversing, I've removed the doorways on the interior for the demo in Eternal Land. By the way, if you're copying this design, don't build it in Eternal Land and save the blueprint. You can't use it in the actual game. So if you're going to copy this design, make sure that you follow this guide, but build it in the actual game. That way you don't have to build it twice. Forgot to mention that. But you manage to get through the front door, and you're led into another door. The doorway, open door right now, but this would be another door. Open up that door, and you find another door. And the reason that I'll kind of go over this now, why I have tons of doorways, is for 2 reasons. One, you can close it up, and it will act as another wall. So that's just one more thing that the enemy's going to have to blast through. Plus, you want to be able to, as the player that owns the base, be able to move through your base properly. And if it's a flat wall, you can't walk through it. So doorways are used for just movement in general. But it's also strategically used as a trap. So if an enemy gets into your base, because it's all confusing and honeycombing, what you can do in games like V Rising, for example, that a lot of people used to do, is you can trap enemy players in compartmental spaces that they don't want to be in. So if they get into here, you can lock this door because they can't open your doors. So you can lock this door, and then they're basically trapped in this little area, or trapped in any one of these areas. And then you, being the owner of the base, can strategically open up that door whenever you want. They won't know the timing, and just open the door, shoot, 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 close it. Open the door, shoot, 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 close it. And you can strategically lock them into compartments over and over again to help you take them down a little bit more easily and trap them in different parts of the base. So that's the other second function of having a lot of doors. So once you get into the first main section, we get a little bit more of an open space here, but we have a door to the right and a door to the left. If you go to the door to the left, you run into 2 more doors, which ultimately lead to a dead end. So they're going to get to the dead end, realize, shoot, I can't go anywhere. You're going to have to waste time, turn around, and go all the way back. Mind you, you're going to be defending the base actively, and if you see them going that way, you already know it's a dead end, so you can just keep shooting them from here, and you know they're not going to be able to go anywhere. So they're going to be stuck here. They go right, which in this particular case is the right direction, but because it's a symmetrical base, you can swap these doors in any direction you want, and as long as you're going opposite, it'll work the exact same way. So no one's ever going to know the actual layout but you. But you're going to go through the right way. In this case, that's the proper direction, and it's going to be more and more honeycombs. So doorway, doorway, doorway. These will all potentially be closed. They're either going to have to blast through them, or you're going to have to open them, and they're going to have to get in. So they're going to be going through doorway, 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 doorway. This is going to lead all the way around to the opposite side of the base. Once they get to the far back, they're introduced to the first kill room. So this little open space here is the first inner core of the base on the bottom floor, with 3 level 3 shotgun turrets waiting for them. Now, I have a wooden stairwell here for a specific reason, and that is because it is the only stairwell where if you're crouching and properly space your gap, you can walk up. If it's any of the other type of stairwells with this particular design, where you're only leaving this little tiny hole to climb up in, it's actually too large, and even if you're crouched, you can't get up it. And normally, in a PvE base, this will drive people crazy. You do not want to have head glitches where you like have to crouch and jump and all this annoying things to get up a stairwell. But on a PvP base, you do, because the longer it takes them to get to the top of the stairs, if they're running without being crouched, they're going to hit that, and they're not going to be able to go up. And these turrets are just constantly going to be firing at them. So they're getting shot, they're panicking, they might roll and mess up and might get up that way. But either way, it's going to delay them. So say they finally figure it out, they're not dead yet, they crouch, and they go up the steps. As soon as they head glitch, see, even I'm having trouble getting up it. Obviously, it's not going to be a big deal for you, because ideally, by the time you get things in your securement containers, you're already going to be inside the base, so you don't have to worry about coming up here, which is perfectly fine. So you're going to come up here, they're going to finally make their way around, or blow it up, one or the other, open up this first door, and surprise, they got another shotgun turret waiting for them. So this is going to be another door that's closed. So they either have to blast their way through that, or figure out a way to open it. If it just happens to be open, either way, they got another turret that's going to be shooting at them, and this has line of sight all the way through the next 2 doorways. So it's going to be shooting at them, shooting at them, shooting at them, while they, even if they blow up this one, it's going to be shooting at them while they try and blow up the next one, and so on and so forth. Another door, another door, another door, wraps all the way around the opposite direction to the front side of the base again. Once they come around the back side, they're greeted by another level 3 turret and the next stairwell. So they're going to be running, they're going to see that stairwell, they'll be like, shit, another turret, let me get past it. They're going to run and realize it's another head glitch. This one, you can only get up if you crouch. Before, I had it to where this one little small triangle piece wasn't here, and you could, if you wanted to, skip the crouch and run up against this wall and actually hurdle over the railing. That is why I added this one little small triangle piece, because that prevents people from mantling over this railing. They are forced to stay crouch and waste time and go up the stairwell the long way, which, by the way, is still going to be in line of sight of this turret. So the entire time they're panicking and trying to get up this stairwell, they're still going to be getting shot. So you're going to delay them some more, delay them some more. Finally, if they happen to somehow get to the 3rd floor, they've got another series of honeycombs to go through. Doorway, 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 doorway. And this leads all the way around, snaking to the opposite side of the base once again. So you're going to get to the end, and then this is the final door leading to the inner chamber. We open it up, and then boom, surprise, there's going to be another turret waiting here for them. Now, unfortunately, in the test, or on the Eternal Land, you are, for whatever reason, limited to the number of traps that you can place down. I've put like more than 12 or 13 turrets on my PvE base in the actual game, and I've only got maybe 5 or 6 of them laid down now. But when I go to plant this down, it says, sorry, trap limit at the cap right now. So I don't have one in the demo on Eternal Land, but ideally there would be another 1 or 2 turrets in the final room waiting for them. And then this final room has all of your basically generators, as well as the 2 securement containers, or more if you want to add more, for your extractions, for the deviations. Ideally, I don't think you'd really need, honestly, more than 2, unless you're sharing this base with multiple Hive members and they want to maybe place down some of their own that they want to extract, in which case you've got plenty of room. You can sneak in a couple more, 3 or 4 securement units total in here. I wouldn't recommend any more than that, because you're already going to have a giant red hot spot on you of people trying to track you down and kill you from the second you pick them up anyway. So you most of the time won't have any more than 2 at any given point regardless. But if you want more, you can. But for now, I just put the 2. So you put in your securement deviations, you'd shut the doors as you're going through to make sure it's as difficult as possible. And then the last thing that we have is the teleporter door. So you come through here, and mind you, enemies can't use your teleporters either. So I have the teleporter at the top, and this one is tucked in the back of the base on the top floor. And what this does is it leads you to the top floor balcony. So I have a little railing just right here so you don't run off the edge, and also it acts as a secondary defense from people on the bottom level trying to rocket it up potentially. It'll help the rockets from hitting the door a little bit, give it a little bit extra protection. But this is the entrance to the balcony. So I have little tiny gaps just because of how we did the doubling of the walls. You have an offset to where you can't do a perfect triangle all the way around. So I have this one tiny little one here so that you can seamlessly run all the way around it without having to worry about falling through. Here's an example of just more honeycombing. And of course I went and got myself stuck. But that's okay. I don't really need to be running around to do anything anyway. But this honeycombing is going to be going around the entire base through all of these. But then the other thing that I want to point out is these walls in particular, how they're doubled up, but they stick out a little bit further. That is for added defense, because I tested it out, and when you have railings all around the outside and you're shooting over the railing, I found that my bullets were hitting the railing too much. And if you're aiming down at enemies, especially if they're like right below you, you want to be able to get right to the edge and aim down. But you still want to have the ability to dodge out of cover and regain your composure if need be. So that's what these little outcroppings are for. They're strategically placed like halfway. So if you're running around like I am here, you can just run into one of these little cubbies that I have kind of blocked off by another little small triangle. So that way you don't fall through the floor, because that would be a straight drop all the way to the bottom and you'd get stuck. So having this little triangle piece here just gives you a little alcove that your character can duck behind and kind of take cover behind this little wall here to prevent yourself from getting shot at enemies that might be firing up from the ground. So these will be at every little intersection. Now, the other thing that I didn't forget about that I wanted to cover is the rare instance where you may have your base up against a mountain that has cliffs above it, and enemies might be able to glide down. I know the Rosetta have the drone. Actually, both factions can actually get the drone now that I found out that it's fully released. But there's an ability, an exploration drone, that allows you to swap out V as your gliding capabilities for the drone. And in the description, it said that the drone has no maximum height limit. So from flat ground, and potentially a Rosetta with a drone could just hover straight into the air and glide up to the top of your base. And what you want to do in that case is have protection on the roof as well. So for the purposes of the demonstration, I've only done one half wall height, but if, depending on the location you're doing it in, you want a little bit more defense, you can add another half wall and add another layer. So we've got the main first layer here, which has a full roof above it, but then I did a half wall with another full roof. So if someone lands from the top and they want to try to explode their way in, they have to break all of these walls here, only to find a whole nother floor that they have to bust down right afterwards. So you're not going to just instantly get through and jump into the base. They're going to have to go through 2 layers at least of ceiling tiles if they're coming in from the top. Ideally, you'll be at the top already on the platform, like keeping watch. So you'll know if anyone's coming in from above. But in the rare instance that it might happen, you've got at least with this potential design as it is now, 2 ceiling tiles width of defenses before it breaks down and gets into the inner levels of the base. Like I said, you should have plenty enough structure points because it's smaller than the other base to potentially raise this up 1 more half wall height and then do a 3rd ceiling tile width all the way across. So then they have to bust through 3 bunker layers to get to the main core. So that's another thing that you could do. But for the demonstration, like I said, I just have 2 right now. So at least 2 I would recommend for the ceiling tiles. And that just adds another line of defense for people trying to get in from above. But yeah, that is the base design. A lot of these really cool strategic placements with these tiny little gaps and how I'm able to double up on all these walls. Doing the demo once it's fully built really doesn't do it justice. Once I do the build tutorial video tomorrow and kind of show off how it's built from scratch, you'll get a much better idea of the extent of the defenses as you're building it up in that video when you see it built piece by piece. But yeah, that is the new and improved PvP base design. It is super, super handy. Very, very difficult to get in. Like I said, if we're counting from the outer wall to the inner core, there's almost 7 walls deep that enemies are going to have to blast through to get to your inner core. And even once you're in the inner core, you have to weave around multiple times to get to the room that you actually want to get to. So very, very annoying for people. That was the whole purpose of the base, but still kind of goes along with the glitches theme. They're still very similar, so I thought it turned out pretty cool. But yeah, that is the new design for PvP. If you guys liked it and if you enjoyed it, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. I appreciate all of your guys' feedback. Also, if you want to keep up to date with my future content, the next video obviously being the tutorial on how to build the base, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the alerts. And then last but not least, if you want to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, feel free to check the links down in the description and join us on the Discord. We've got over 1,000 members in there now, many of which are playing Once Human. So hopefully you jump in and we see you guys around here soon. But until the next one, hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all later.